In the kingdom of Anor Londo, in a heap on the floor of a beautiful chapel, there's a dead guy. But he's not just any dead guy. He's a special dead guy. And he's one of my favorite examples of the way Souls games use environmental storytelling to make their worlds richer and more compelling. My name is Mike, and this is the tale of Black Iron Tarkus. First, a bit of backstory on the world of Dark Souls and how exactly it is that we come across this dead guy.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded.
Maybe not that much backstory. Dark Souls lore can be super confusing, but the basic gist is that the world, for however long, has existed in an age of fire. But now that fire is growing weak. We, as chosen undead, must set out to rekindle the flame and preserve the Age of Fire. We wake up in a yucky, gross asylum. We smack this guy in the butt so many times. And then a crow snatches us up and takes us to Lordran. Makes sense, right? In order to rekindle the flame, we're told we need to ring some kind of big bell.
Thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringest the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know.
Later, this creeping weirdo tells us there are actually two bells.
There are actually two bells of awakening.
So, like the good chosen undead / power gamers that we are, we fight our way through and ring the bells. Once we ring the bells, we wake up an even creepier creeping weirdo. This new creeping weirdo tells us two things. First, he tells us we need to go to Anor Londo, aka the realm of the gods. The other thing he tells us is that the path to Anor Londo is through a place called Sine's Fortress.
Many have gone before you, but none have returned.
We'll see about that. Run the music. Okay. Once we crawl to the top of this place, we'll find a merchant who has some bad news.
Visiting Anor Londo, not in your state. For a century they've tried and failed. The Night King Rendell, Black Iron Tarkus, and even Logan himself.
Anor Londo is not a good place to go, and everyone who has tried has died. But we're playing a video game, so, we're not going to stop. Like all good fortresses, Sine's Fortress is guarded by a massive, menacing foe called the Iron Golem. But there's something else that's interesting up here. If we work our way around the top of this fortress, we'll find a summon sign for a knight named Black Iron Tarkus. It's a familiar name. The merchant we just talked to told us that Black Iron Tarkus was one of the people who tried to go to Anor Londo, but failed.
For a century they've tried and failed. The Night King Rendell, Black Iron Tarkus, and Black Iron Tarkus, and Black Iron Tarkus, and...
However, if we summon Black Iron Tarkus and have him help us with the Iron Golem, he beats it single-handedly. No sweat. Which is not common for spirit summons in Dark Souls, who usually just get clobbered by whatever boss you've summoned them to help with. Black Iron Tarkus being so strong here is something some Souls players have wondered about. Is he bugged? Is he overtuned? Why is he the one summon who so consistently smashes the boss? Well, there's an answer. With the Iron Golem dead and gone, we're free to take the nasty demon, monster, imp, whatever these guys are, express elevator to Anor Londo. There's tons of lore about Anor Londo and what it is and why it matters. We don't have time to get into any of that right now. What matters for our story is that when we get to Anor Londo, we hit a dead end. We find a staircase that goes nowhere, and we're stuck. But if we examine the environment closely, we'll discover a broken window at the top of a long, narrow beam, which leads into the high rafters of a chapel. These rafters are very precarious and guarded by enemies. It's easy to fall. But if we're careful and lucky, we can work our way across and make our way down. Once we're safely on the ground, we can explore the floor level of the chapel. And it's here that we discover the dead guy from the start of this video. If we investigate his body, we find black iron armor, which is described as belonging to a knight named Black Iron Tarkus, and as being made of a special black iron that is so heavy, only Tarkus can use it effectively. This body on the floor isn't a random dead guy. It's not hidden loot a game designer planted there because it seemed like a good place to hide some loot. The body belongs to Black Iron Tarkus. And if we've been paying attention to all the little clues and bits and pieces of story, we understand that not only is this Black Iron Tarkus himself, we know why we're finding him in this place at this moment. Black Iron Tarkus was on the same quest as us, and he succeeded. He rang the bells. He fought his way through Sine's fortress. And, like we saw ourselves, he made light work of the Iron Golem. That's why he beats it when we summon him, because he beat it in real life. The merchant was wrong. Tarkus didn't fail to make it to Anor Londo. He got there. The broken window we find isn't broken because video game logic. It's broken because of the story of the world. Tarkus broke the window. He got here before us. And if we've been paying attention, we know what happens next. Even though the black iron armor pieces say they were too heavy for everybody but Tarkus, if we watch his spirit in the Iron Golem fight, he's fat rolling. In other words, his armor might have been too heavy for him after all. He's not a guy with a lot of maneuverability. He's a strong, heavy, combat-focused knight. So even though he made it to Anor Londo, even though he smashed the window and found a way in, he was too heavy and too clumsy to navigate those precarious rafters, where his combat acumen would have been less important than agility and balance. And sadly, he fell to his death, which is how we've come to find him and his armor in this crumpled pile. If we're sort of blindly playing through the game, not listening to this optional dialogue or reading these item descriptions, connecting these dots, that body in the chapel is just a random loot pile. But if we are paying attention, we discover an entire little story about this one character who lived and died on a similar adventure to ours. And we get to interpret that story however we want and build the narrative ourselves. What I love about Souls games is that they are packed full of little stories like this. The tale of Black Iron Tarkus is just there, waiting for you to discover it. but it only reveals itself if you're actively putting together the clues and observing the world you're inhabiting. It's a special way that games can tell stories that other mediums can't. And From Software is the absolute best at building worlds where nothing is accidental, and everything you find, even a random dead guy loot pile, has history. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, check out our Patreon sticker club, and leave comments. Leave a comment. I want to know your favorite Soulsborne world story. Until I see you again, please be good, be kind, don't kick any puppies, and thanks for watching.